we've got more boots than you'll find anywhere, literally anywhere. And work boots are that's where it all started with us, and that's our bread and butter is work boots. A lot of these national chains you go into, I mean, they're just hiring people and saying, hey, go out there and help people, get them a size or whatever. They don't really know, okay, what are the different things that really make a boot difference? Because what you're really wanting to do when these guests come in your store is I tell our boot professionals that you're like a doctor. You're diagnosing what do they need, what kind of environment are they working in, how hard are they on their boots. Look at their boots and see if they've worn them on different areas. They may need a different kind of sole. All those kind of things play into it as we start trying to get people in the right pair of boots.
What kind of job they're doing. That's the main purpose, whether they're outside working or whether they're in what kind of environment they're in, whether they're in a plant, manufacturing plant. That depends a whole lot on what kind of boot they need.
About environment, there's a couple of things that play into that. Of what kind of heat are you going to be working on? I mean, because there's some that are working out on like the pavement, the guys you see out working on the roads and stuff. I mean, that pavement gets so hot. Mm-hmm. So you may need a heat resistant sole, because some just plain soles, when you're out in the middle of the summer working on black pavement, those things that you will melt the soles.
Right.
It gets so hot you'll melt the soles. So you're talking about that kind of environment. And of course you got different heat resistant ratings, and that's something that our people can help you with when you come in. There are different soles that have different heat resistant ratings. Some of them are rated super high for people working in, like iron workers and those kind of things that are working in intense environments. The second big environmental thing would be, what are you working in? Are you going to be getting wet? What? Think about your skin. So a lot of times we don't think cowhide or whatever kind of hide. Most of it's going to be cowhide. It's going to be leather on a boot. But what happens if you get your skin wet, dry, yeah, it's going to crack. Yeah. And leather is no different. And so one of the big things we do is, let's talk about the environment. So if you're going to be in a wet environment, if you're going to be in a muddy environment, those kind of things, then you need a waterproof boot. Well, there's different kinds of waterproof. Some of them are sealed on the outside, and those that are sealed on the outside, they have a protective coating around them. But once they crack or get any kind of cut or anything into them, well, then that waterproof, that has been compromised. The next level of waterproofing is, many people will know it by the brand name of Gore-Tex, but there are, almost every boot brand has their own generic Gore-Tex now. And what Gore-Tex is it's actually an inner bootie inside of the boot. So you've got the outer leather shell that you see, and then inside of that is actually a waterproof, breathable membrane that your foot goes into. So if the outside of the boot happens to crack or gets a puncture or something like that, it's still waterproof. And so that's the next level of waterproofing. Those things are really important, because there is nothing worse than going wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. And that's why, when we talk about diagnosing, we really want our people to diagnose, hey, what kind of work are you doing? What kind of environment are you in? Are you outside? Are you getting wet? Are you needing something? Or are you just needing a boot occasionally to have to go outside and walk around the job site, but you're not really going to be doing the dirty work?
Well, we first assess what they're wearing. Usually I'll pick up if they got a slip-on boot, and if they don't have them on, or if they do have them on, I'll get them off their feet and look. And if they got angles, wedges, just wore straight down into this gray stuff, I know off the bat that they do not have strong enough of a sole on them, not abrasive resistant. This boot's super comfortable and people love them, but the thing is when you start doing that, you're starting to hang off the side of the boot and you're overpronating, and it messes you up, hips, backs, everything.
Most places you go in, they're going to, hey, what are you looking for?
Right.
And most people that come in, they don't know the difference in all the different boots. They're just like, oh, that's a leather boot, that's a leather boot, that's a leather boot. So, okay, let me just pick out whichever one is better. And and you can always present that in a way of, okay, hey, look, here's kind of good, better, best. And some people may not want the best one because the best one's going to be more expensive.
Right.
Now, I've talked about this before. Usually, the more you spend on a boot, the cheaper it actually is.
Yeah.
You talk about ESD, static dissipating, and then EH, electrical hazard. Well, one protects you from electrocuting yourself. One of and these things get really, really confused.
Right.
You can just see it on people's faces when they come in. They're like, "Well, what's the static Well, that's the one that protects the equipment. Like people that are working in environments where there's that little shock. Whenever you're walking through a place and then you touch something and it pops. Well, that protects that from happening. Which that static dissipating that can really hurt equipment that you're working on. The EH is one, and that's why you see most maintenance people and those guys, they'll use an EH boot, which stands for electrical hazard, and that protects you from getting electrocuted. I mean, it's for your protection. The ESD is more for protecting the equipment that you're working on in an inside environment. A lot of times people get those messed up, and if you go into a place that don't have qualified people, boot professionals, I call them, that are diagnosing what's going on, you can walk out with the wrong thing, and that can be a very dangerous thing. Because if you saw ESD, electrical static dissipating, you may think, okay, I need something, they tell me to get an electrical hazard boot, so yeah, it's electrical, I'm going to get that. Well, no, that's not protecting you. That's protecting the whatever equipment that you would be working on. So it's crucial. I mean, something that can be life and death. It's our job to provide all the different options for people, and then once we diagnose where are they working, what kind of environment, that kind of thing, then we're able to lead them to the options that they need. And it is in that work environment, it just means so much because so many people are out there working 8, 10, 12 hours a day, standing on their feet all day long in horrible conditions. And I remember somebody told me, an old boot salesman years ago told me, he said, man, it's just like, he said, you think about your car. He said, you spend a lot of money on everything in your car. He said, but there's only 4 things that touch the road. He said, that's your tires. He said, the same thing with boots. He said, you got 2 things that are touching the ground. He said, and that's your boots. He said, everything, every ache, anything that happens, he says, starts right there in your feet. And that's what we try to do is we want people to leave, and we want them to be in a comfortable pair, and a pair that's going to keep them safe, and a pair that's going to be durable, and where people feel like they're getting the value that they need. And so hopefully what we've done is built a lifetime relationship with that customer.